let's talk a little bit about our criminal justice system and the point of incarceration, because they did say, listen, we pray for him, we hate what he's done, and we're glad this was the decision of the jury because we don't want him to do this to anyone else. And so part of our system is incarceration in a case like this to prevent and protect the society.
Absolutely. I mean, here's a family who suffered such a great loss. It has been through the trying times of seeing their son's killer placed on trial, and yet they have such a balanced view in terms of, not looking for vengeance here. They are looking for justice, and what their main concern is the safety of others and making sure that this doesn't happen to anybody again. And it shows why the criminal justice system is really the way to get ultimate justice in cases. As you know, I'm a civil rights lawyer, so I represent a lot of families whose children or family members have unfortunately been killed by excessive force by police, and that's what we contend. And so often charges aren't filed, and that's why you have the sense of frustration, because they feel that the justice system is not working for them because there is no trial in terms of a criminal trial when someone's life is taken, when it's a police officer that does it, except in rare instances, as we saw with George Floyd. Here is a family that you can see they have some level of contentment, even though their son has been murdered, because the system of justice worked for them, and it worked correctly, both to protect their family and the family of others. And, there's a great line in a song called Ain't No Time to Hate. And if there's any time to hate, it's when someone's killed your child, and yet they found it within themselves not to hate that family. And just heartwarming to see that people can keep that balance in their reactions and attitudes to such a tragic situation in their family.
Absolutely, James, and that's a great line. It certainly applies here. Let me follow up on something you said about the civil rights and the cases you've been involved in. Have you been involved in any of those where perhaps the individual responsible for it is convicted, but then subsequently does get out on parole? And how, if you have, how does that affect the families? And if you haven't, what would you imagine could be the detrimental effect of that down the road?
Well, sure. In different circumstances, we do have it. I mean, unfortunately, here in Los Angeles, where I primarily practice, we still are waiting for prosecutions of police officers. So we haven't even gotten to square one in that situation in terms of the wrongful deaths, even though I have several cases which cry out for it in that situation. But people get scared. I mean, when you have a situation where you've reported a crime, and you have someone that is out on parole, people get very scared that their personal safety is at risk. And let's face it, there's no way that the police can serve as a protector in that situation. It just doesn't do it. So the emotions run high, and the best thing you could tell individuals is to try to maintain, a sense of security and so on, and try not to, I say don't poke the bear. I mean, I'm not justifying this murder at all in any respect, but you have two next door neighbors, and what one part of the testimony was is that Travis Peters, every time he would see Chester Lilly, would call him a child molester. Now, it seems like he was a child molester, and yet you have someone who has some sort of mental illness and being provoked like that. And it's like, we've all been through a lot this year. And we're continuing to go through a lot. And let's not forget to be kinder and more understanding to each other, and try to reduce these types of conflicts that end up in hurting people. We all need to take a deep breath. And I know it. These are people of faith. Love your neighbor.
And James,
warts and all.
I've got 3 teenagers, and I just have to say that we talk a lot about this because tensions are running high, and post-pandemic, I certainly see them running higher just in terms of traffic and navigating every real day life. And so your point is so well made that being kinder and taking a breath is something that I think that all of us need to do, because times have been hard, times have been tough for many, many people. Certainly all condolences to the family of the victim. victim in this case. So in terms of next steps, there's been a question by viewers that I'd love to pose to you. I know you're a civil rights attorney, but in general, for instance, in a criminal matter, we know that the sentence is life without parole for this defendant. But some of the viewers are saying, well, then why is there a sentencing hearing in October when we already know under the code this is what he's going to be sentenced to? What is the benefit of a sentencing hearing for the victims and the families in cases like these?
Well, in this case, the family did get a sense to be able to speak with the jury, but I guess there's one more opportunity in front of the judge. And, judges do have discretion. I'm not entirely positive whether a judge would have this discretion in West Virginia, but if a judge believes that a jury, based on the evidence, has just got it wrong, judges sit as the 13th juror and can undo those rulings. Now, perhaps that is at play here in West Virginia, and that is why you have the sentencing hearing. But there also is, again, a catharsis for the families to get into court and have their say in terms of explaining to the judge why they think the life without possibility of parole is the correct sentence. But let's face it, this seems like a done deal. The jury reached a decision the way they did with the evidence in front of them. The evidence was fairly presented to them, and they reached a decision of no mercy. And Judge 99% is most likely just going to affirm that, and Mr. Lilly will be in prison for the rest of his life.
And one of the benefits, in my mind, to the West Virginia law is that the judge has the benefit of knowing what the jury has done in terms of, in this case, saying no mercy, and has that additional information for his use when he does sentence. All right, James, you're going to stay with us.